Hi, I'm from Worldpeacefull, and I was speaking with a friend of mine in Kashmir and remembering my time that I spent in Kashmir and in India. I also thought back to my studies of peace, where I studied Gandhi's work. Satyagraha is the way I pronounce it. Apologies to Indian people listening to this. I know that you say it much better than I. So I was studying Satyagraha, holding on to truth, and ahimsa, which is love, which has very much framed my work in peace. I have a great love of Gandhi, and I have a few stories to tell about Gandhi before I finish this blog. But this blog is particularly dedicated to peace in Kashmir and in India. And what I'm going to do is read from my blog to share with people my experience when I was there and the various reflections I had on this part of the world. It's actually the number one nuclear flashpoint is South Asia. There's a 1 to 2 minute trajectory, I think, between Islamabad and New Delhi. And of course, Kashmir is the jewel that sits in between Pakistan and India. They border it, and China. And this is a remarkable civilization that's had many trials and tribulations through various occupations over time. And they're a unique people. In the world that we have today, we tend to label people as Indian, and of course, India has a very wide range of cultures within India. And of course, Kashmir, people call it Muslim, yet it's had many influences. And yes, whilst that might well be a religion that people are choosing, at this time, ultimately we're all the one people globally. We're the one family that has great diversity between and within. But even greater than that still is where we unify, where we are one. So let me first have a little meditation as I sit with the feeling of peace for India, Pakistan, and Kashmir. And may this family reunite as one to discover that the sum of the parts is greater than the whole, that we're actually not at war. We're only at war through beliefs we have chosen to hold on to, which divides us one to the other. If people truly live the faith that they say that inspires their life and their culture, then we will be looking for what we love in one another, not where we divide, but where we unify. This is the work of world peace. I'm breathing in inspiration, breathing out all negativity, all discord. I'm breathing in peace and inspiration. I am releasing all negative thoughts that divide me from the other. I'm breathing in the love of life, breathing out all separation. Breathing in, we are one family. Breathing out, all division, all abuse, all pain. As I sit here, I can send love to all the people in Kashmir, Kashmir and Jammu. I was actually merging the two, isn't it funny? I'm sending love to all the people in India and the people in Pakistan. So let me turn to my blog and I will share with you what inspired this blog to start with. I just received a virus from a friend's email address book who is a journalist in Kashmir. I tried to write back to her to say her email was being violated. In the subject heading, it had I LUV terror, so I love terror. I opened the email to find the message, love terror and terrorist UNDRMILITTYWACH. So looks like under military watch, something like that. I don't understand why that message came out like that, but it did. I was in no doubt at the time which government was responsible for this. I know this lady personally, having studied with her on the Rotary Peace and Conflict Studies program in Bangkok. I spent 3 months getting to know this brilliant woman. She's a journalist in Kashmir and one of the bravest women I have met. She has an excellent mind, photographic, for all the human rights atrocities undertaken by the military against the Kashmiris over the 60-year-plus Indian military occupation of Kashmir. This is a distinct people who are divided geographically, culturally and politically between Pakistan and India. The people of Kashmir are Muslim, yet I learned they have Sufi origins. I found them to be more like the Afghans than the Pakistanis, and of course I've just done a little bit of research to find out that there has been an influence in that regard. From my long discussions with this wonderful woman, I found out that the people do not want to belong to Pakistan or India. They wish to be independent. So independence is the real word here. I have seen in the media words like separatist, but that's assuming that, I guess, a belief in a claim to the land by various governments, Pakistan or India. But this was what my friend conveyed, was they want independence. They want to run themselves. When I received this email virus, I wondered if her life was in danger. I didn't know if she was okay or not, as she speaks truth to power herself. She's a very honest person and well educated. I sat here thinking, what can I do? My blog came to mind to inform others about the travesty in Kashmir. I'll point out firstly, I am on neither side of this conflict. I am actually pro-peace. Although the one bias I do have is that I feel love for both Kashmiris and Indians, and of course Pakistanis as well. But this blog is particularly focused on clash between the Kashmiris and the Indians. I had the pleasure to travel to both countries. I was hosted by Indians who made me feel welcome and shared their culture. I was hosted by Muslim Kashmiris in Kashmir who shared their food and gave me hospitality. I felt a warmth and kindness from both peoples. This is where peace is built. I caution people to not believe hate messages that come from discrimination and is used to divide rather than find solutions. People can easily be manipulated if they watch TV or television and believe all they hear and see. The key is to go into your own heart and know thyself and be true. This is where the real truth is found. All conflicts are here to teach us about ourselves, to face the truth within, as there is indeed a higher intelligence waiting to guide all to freedom. I had long conversations with my friend about not allowing hatred towards the Indians to take root, to remain centered on truth, but to not enter into negativity. This, of course, is hard when people suffer. However, it is important as emotions of revenge become the focus rather than solving the problem. What I've learned about conflict resolution is that where it is effective is when one looks into one's own negativity and hatred. That is where peace starts. You have to be able to find where you can meet the other. Perhaps it is the mainstream people you reach out to show them we are one. I think of Falun Gong story here. I read where a practitioner was beaten by a Chinese interrogator and she handed him a handkerchief to wipe his brow. She showed compassion, which appears incredible to many as hate would be expected to be there. When you practice peace, it is the hardest road, as you must find peace within first, before you see it outside yourself. This message is for both Kashmiris and Indians. It's also for Pakistanis as well, but predominantly I'm speaking to these groups. Gandhi was wise, despite the prevailing views that I have heard coming out of India. I've had a very significant connection, I'd have to say, in a spiritual way with Gandhi. And the words inspired by him is to be the change you wish to see in the world. These words are not about him. These words were inspired through him to remind all of us that it is each person's responsibility. It's not about jumping on bandwagons. It's not about apathy and doing nothing. It's about you deciding the world you want for your children, because they are going to experience the ramifications of all our decisions as adults. When I was in Kashmir, I was thinking of Gandhi a lot. I studied Gandhi's nonviolence, and I researched the British occupation of India and how the Indian people were humiliated, murdered, and oppressed brutally by an imperialist power. It reminds me of the Israelis and Palestinians, the same strange twist where the people who were persecuted became the oppressor. And again, I send love to the Israeli people too. This is about what we're doing. It's not really who we are. Who we are is a much deeper story. But for the moment, we'll look at this. I sit and I wonder how they cannot see they are doing to others what was done to themselves. Is it the blindness of greed? Perhaps revenge. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, Gandhi said. Is it the dominance of militarism? Is it the fear of loss? Is it about economic gain? The need for control? A territorial dispute? What is the perceived justification that drives behaviours unable to see history repeating itself? It gives a clue that something has not been learned. If it was learned, it wouldn't be happening. I think of the law of attraction here. This works on the premise that emotions or thoughts attract. Thus, if you see yourself as a victim, you will think over and over that you are and attract situations reinforcing this belief and feeling. It may come from low self-worth, powerlessness, and other negative thought forms. Another may be in conflict as negative thoughts are projected onto others, turning them into the enemy because the one projecting cannot own their own insecurity, low self-worth, and powerlessness. This is on both sides. They are acting unconsciously. This is what is termed like attracts like. So to be the change we wish to see in the world is to think new thoughts that are positive and grounded in who you really are. If you believe in justice, then be just. If you believe in truth, be truthful. If you believe in peace, be peaceful, and so on. This is to be the change. If you believe in non-violence, be non-violent. You are the one who stands as an example, but condemn no one. That is true power, which our world still has not come to terms with at this point. I ask the Indian people, do you remember Gandhi? The real Gandhi, not the one of newspapers, but the one who sacrificed many, many years of his life to learn truth, or as he saw it, that truth was God and God was truth. He gave up everything in order to serve the Indian people, to free them, to help them to see that they had self-worth. It seems we need Gandhi again. I recall when I was in India, I met many who disregarded Gandhi to my surprise. Occasionally I met people who felt a pride in his legacy. I was surprised to see his face on the rupee. He himself made clear he was no fan of capitalism. You might remember self-reliance, the spinning wheel. Indeed, has his dream been supported? The situation in Kashmir would not be the bleeding heart of South Asia had all Indus people subscribed to what he was really saying. So that conflict had its seeds in the splitting of Muslim and Hindus, believing that they could not live together and highlighting their differences. Yet in truth, had the focus been on the spiritual values that unify, utilising the image of the one Mother India, both would experience a much grander fate today. I never saw Gandhi as a failure. It was the nation that failed to learn from his very wise lessons being shown. Through Gandhi's unremitting leadership, principled leadership. He was suffering himself on many occasions, and he saw the great suffering of his people. As he suffered, he grew immensely spiritually. He took upon himself full responsibility for peace by an unyielding patience. He said he had an unending patience, acknowledging weaknesses all possessed, as he marched non-violently to the Sea of Dandi to collect salt to defy British unjust laws. He refused to see the British as the enemy. Instead, he envisaged waving them off as friends. That is a unity consciousness that is not present in today's leaders. He showed the power of purity through honesty and non-violence, of which Indian culture and spiritual traditions are deeply embedded. He led the people back to their own power through having the courage to stand up to injustice, but to not strike back, to learn to take their pain. This is where soul force emerged, as it evoked love and respect in the other. Do you hear the kookaburras in the background? You know where I am. I just want to repeat that last bit. This is where soul force emerged, as it evoked love. Can you feel the word love? And respect. Respect for diversity in the other. I ask, where are the Indians marching to New Delhi or other major cities to highlight the unjust occupation of Kashmir in remembrance of their own oppression by the British? Are the Indian people holding democracy as true and reminding their government that oppression is not democracy? As members of a democracy, are they considering that rather than spending on the military, that money be spent on conflict resolution and funds directed to pressing social problems within India and, of course, in Kashmir? Are any of the spiritual gurus, rishis, holy men and women, mediators, peacemakers in India sending blessings to the Kashmiri people and leadership and the Indian government and the military? Are they making their love of peace visible? Do they hold silent vigils, lighting candles for peace in Kashmir and India? Do they hold their brothers and sisters in prayer in order to clear the negativity from Kashmir and India, sending enlightenment to all parties for the highest good? I saw the oppression in Kashmir firsthand, and it shocked me to see the barbed wire in a place that looks like Switzerland. This place could have been the jewel of South Asia and a wonderful place for visitors to see. High mountains and grand lakes with houseboats bobbing gently up and down, and a bouquet of flowers in bloom in parks and public spaces. I saw the Kashmiri people moving about their daily lives in between curfews. I saw some begging for food, others getting on by meagre living. I talked to boat operators who said tourism is destroyed by the military presence and living in constant uncertainty. I heard accounts by Kashmiris of the despair and incredible difficulties of being under house arrest for long periods, the psychological harm, frustration, stress in families, mental illness, and the intermittent murdering of civilians, many children, the difficulties of getting food, and the constant surveillance by the Indian military. I saw the military on every corner to my utter amazement. I saw soldiers whip Kashmiris with long sticks as methods of social control. I wondered at a country calling itself a democracy, yet acting as an oppressor, dictating the terms of life for another people. I saw that India's actions do not embody the principles of true democracy. That is to say, if you believe in democracy, then you believe in allowing freedom of speech for all people. That requires an open and transparent media that is not towing particular party lines or narratives, but one that is revealing truth on both sides. In London, there was the Leveson inquiry. It was showing the world the complicitness of the media and how it shapes the news, and the issues of ethics and political biases of media owners of the media and how it shapes people. That, of course, has a massive impact on public opinion. Where do the Indian people learn about the truth of Kashmir? Are there debates in the Indian media with fair representation from both sides so people can get an idea of what is happening? Until the people, not only the Kashmiris but the Indian people as well, until they rise up with a shared sense of living truth and non-violence, asking for transparency, democracy and peaceful coexistence with their neighbours, the situation in Kashmir will play out in other parts of India. Democracy becomes diminished to a brand name, as has been the case in so many countries. It was Gandhi who said of democracy, "I think it would be a good idea." I think that's still the case even in my own country. We still haven't learnt what sharing power is really about and how we all win when everybody has a say, when we really have each other's interests, highest interests, not commercial interests at heart. Unfortunately, we've allowed money to dictate the terms. We believe that's security, but it's not. The true security comes from love and peace. These are the virtues of humanity. I wonder today how Gandhi would regard the India of today and what he would say. I can hear his words. The only devils in this world are those running around in their own hearts, and that is where all our battles should be fought. He is absolutely correct on that. Byron Katie would also state that all war should be on paper, and I highly recommend that Indian and Kashmiri people go to theworker.com. This is all about questioning negative thoughts, particularly those of you who are feeling great anguish and anger, those of you who are feeling negative towards other people. Go and do the work. It will change everything for you, because that's where all our conflicts are starting, is within ourselves. I can see Gandhi travelling to Kashmir and proving to India there is nothing to fear from brothers and sisters. He would show the Kashmiri Indians who feel just like them, that are one in human rights and justice. I wonder if there are Indians wise enough to wear Gandhian t-shirts as symbols of ahimsa, non-violence, and satyagraha, holding on to truth, that would be willing to go and visit their Kashmiri brothers and sisters and join them in unity as a prayer for peace. Interestingly, as they free the Kashmiris, they free themselves to live the dignity Gandhi worked so hard to make visible, to show the Indian government, with great love, a non-violent way, to help them to see the wisdom of responsibility and bring a peaceful settlement, to recognise the value of the dignity of the Kashmiris, just as the Indian people themselves were bashed and broken by the endless thumps of batons on their heads, taking the pain of the British. Do you remember? This injustice was witnessed by the American journalist Vince Walker, who said of the British, and I quote, "Whatever moral ascendancy the West once held was lost here today. India is free, for she has taken all that steel and cruelty can give and she has neither cringed nor retreated. This is the message to Kashmiris. The same applies to India. There is no moral ascendancy in murdering women, children, and men in the name of imperialism. They will go the same way as the British. Here are some quotes to remind you of what Gandhi stood for, since so many Indians and Kashmiris have forgotten. I would ask you to note the difference between words that unify and words that divide. Words spoken in love and stating what is so, truth, lead to unity. They emanate from a higher source. Words that lead to division pit one against the other through hate, demonization, and revenge. It never works, and conflicts will not heal until wisdom is found again in truth and reconciliation. There is wisdom in both India and Kashmir and Pakistan, I will include. Now is the time to find it and live it with one voice. Here is Gandhi's wisdom. Nahari says, I'm going to hell. I killed a child. I smashed his head against a wall. Gandhi said, why? Nahari, because they killed my son. The Muslims killed my son. Gandhi said, I know a way out of hell. Find a child whose mother and father have been killed, and raise him as your own. He indicates a child the same height. Gandhi then said, only be sure that he is a Muslim and that you raise him as one. Gandhi then said, I am a Muslim and a Hindu and a Christian and a Jew, and so are all of you. What he's saying is we are all one, and he's right. Here's another quote. Colonel, this was moments before the Amritsar massacre. Should we issue a warning, sir? General Dyer says, they've had their warning, no meetings. General Dyer, fire! Now this was the massacre at Amritsar, as many Indians will remember. Gandhi, the function of a civil resistance is to provoke response, and we will continue to provoke until they respond or change the law. They are not in control, we are. Vince Walker said, you're an ambitious man, Mr. Gandhi. Gandhi said, I hope not. This was a tribute at Gandhi's funeral by Edward Murrow. The object of this massive tribute died as he had always lived, a private man without wealth, without property, without official title or office. Mahatma Gandhi was not a commander of great armies nor ruler of vast lands. He could boast no scientific achievements or artistic gift, yet men, governments, and dignitaries from all over the world have joined hands today to pay homage to this little brown man in the loincloth who led his country to freedom. Pope Pius, the Archbishop of Canterbury, President Truman, Chiang Kai-shek, the Foreign Minister of Russia, the President of France, are among the millions here and abroad who have lamented his passing. In the words of General George C. Marshall, the American Secretary of State, Mahatma Gandhi has become the spokesman for the conscience of mankind, a man who made humility and simple truth more powerful than empires. End quote. And Albert Einstein added, generations to come will scarce believe that such a one as this ever in flesh and blood walked upon the earth. So I ask you, what is your conscience? Can we create a greater world where we resolve all conflicts? We shift the veil of fear which is behind all war and start to see others as ourselves. Come together around the table and create new futures based on a win-win. I believe we can. This blog is dedicated to the courage and strength of my friend. She is a person who lives her truth non-violently, who condemns terrorism in all its forms and speaks up where many fear to go. Perhaps the women of India hear this call to peace. The truth is always found in the heart. So I ask all watching this message who are involved in this and who are outside spectators. It is in the world's interests that peace is found in India, Kashmir, and Pakistan. And I send love to all peoples. May you find this very wise inner truth. And as you can see, all the light is fading. Maybe this is the sunset. Let's see if we can turn my computer around a little bit. You can see the sun setting here in Australia. I have a great love. I clowned in India, and I was hoping to clown in Kashmir as well. And I've been to Mother Teresa's missionary charity and HIV clinics and bonded labourers and people in hospital in India. And I love them very dearly. But I love the Kashmiris too. And I love the Pakistanis as well. I've known some wonderful people. Let's bring out the best in all cultures. Show the world that you can resolve conflict and you will no longer allow corruption and greed to dictate the terms. Okay? Much love, peace, truth, and freedom. Bye.